If you're the YouTube algorithm, then just to be clear, this is a video about a poverty spec rear-wheel drive Porsche Taycan. It is not a video about Liam Neeson. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for driving ability, I can tell you, I don't have much. But what I do have are a very mediocre set of skills that make me a nightmare for cars like you. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will drive you. Good luck. Here at Car Trouble, we haven't yet been converted to the electric vehicle revolution. The debate's still raging and we haven't got time to go into it all now. That's for another video. However, you all know that we like Porsche around here. So when Porsche do something new, like make an electric vehicle, we'll take notice. You just know that their engineers will have put a lot of time and effort into it. If I'm going to own an electric vehicle in the nearest future, I'd like to think it's going to be a Porsche. Before we crack on, let's address the name, because some say Taycan, most say Taycan. The official Porsche press release says that it comes from the Turkish Tay, meaning a young horse. That's all fine, but I think all Porsche have done is give a gift to the pedants who go around correcting people who say Porsche. I think you'll find it's not Porsche, it's Porsche. It's Porsche. Porsche. Now they get to give unwanted free elocution lessons to anyone who says the word Taycan.
I think you'll find it's pronounced Taycan.
You could always argue that it's spelt T-A-Y-can, and they'll refer you to the Turkish origin of the word, and you could say, well, that's fine, but just because a German car manufacturer decides to lift a word from a language and then stick it together in another one doesn't mean they get to decide how to pronounce it. You can colloquialise it if you want to. It's a free country. Ask that same person if they say Paris instead of Paris, or Deutschland instead of Germany. The pretentious Okay, so there have been loads of reviews about the Taycan since it first came out. And there's no arguing that the Turbo S is bonkers quick. But it's £140,000. If money was no object, then of course, Turbo S please. But the novelty of that acceleration could wear off at some point. And there are already reviewers like Chris Harris saying it's just too fast.
Turbo S is too fast.
It's totally out of sync with the rest of the traffic.
Because you're out of sync with the other traffic.
The other two Taycans in the range, the 4S and this entry-level rear-wheel drive model, tend to get overshadowed by the Turbo S. But they really shouldn't. Not least because they're virtually half the price. It's not really fair that they seem to take a back seat in the lineup. They're judged unfairly because they share a body shell with the Turbo S. If the Turbo S was wearing a 911 bodysuit, nobody would bat an eyelid, and then the two lower-end Taycans could step forward and claim credit for what they really are. Comparing the Turbo S to the two other Taycans is not really a like-for-like comparison. Anywho, the 4S always seems to be the pick of the reviewers, with the reviews ending in things like, it's the best bang for your buck, or pay the extra and get the 4S, or it's the sweet spot in the range. Is that really fair on the poverty spec Taycan? Here's the reason why I'm uncomfortable with that phrase, pay the extra and get the 4S. Because the 4S is still £13,000 more expensive. Unless you're Middle Eastern royalty, or Jeff Bezos, £13,000 is still a lot of money. Put simply, you could buy a Taycan 4S, or you could buy a Taycan and take your family on a Caribbean holiday and get yourself a motorcycle and buy yourself a speedboat. Or, for the same money, you could buy a Taycan and remodel your bathroom and get a used Porsche Boxster for a bit of fun at weekends. So with that in mind, I thought I'd give the ginger stepchild of the Taycan range a chance to show me that it deserves a swipe right. That's a Tinder reference for anybody who's aged over 40. Apparently, you swipe right on your phone and a sex arrives on your doorstep. There's no doubt that the Taycan, even in poverty spec, is a gorgeous bit of kit. It is, in the words of Jim Carrey, beautiful. I will admit that the basic model doesn't get as nice a wheels as the Turbo S, but that's the way it goes. You can actually buy them for £3,000. The base models come with the standard 19-inch Taycan wheels. This one has the 20-inch Turbo Aero wheels, yours for a snip at £1,500. Now I'm sure Porsche could have designed some sexier wheels for the base model as well, but then the Turbo S drivers will be all like, hey, my wheels should be much sexier than his because I paid twice as much. Yeah, know your place, poverty spec drivers. Many of the reviews you've seen were probably on new Taycans, but having covered a few hundred lockdown inhibited miles, I can tell you what's good about living with this car and what is not. First of all, what is not. I'm not particularly impressed with the fragile looking boot floor. If the argument is weight saving, well, this car weighs nearly 2 tonnes. I'm not sure it would have made much difference to make it out something slightly sturdy that feels like it wouldn't buckle under the weight of 2 slabs of beer. Then there's the noise. The noise is really cool to start with. It kind of sounds like a Star Wars speedster, but you have to turn it on manually every time you drive the car, and after a while you just kind of stop bothering, and then you learn to enjoy just wafting around silently. If the noise was free, then fair enough. Because it's a Porsche, it's a £500 option. My advice would be, don't bother. Now, I'm not going to lie, this car is pretty wide. It doesn't feel very wide on the inside, but it is deceptively wide on the outside. It's a bit of a nuisance in supermarket car parks and when you're trying to pass cars on a narrow lane. And if you park it on a street, it always sticks out further than the other cars, so you're always worried it's going to get clipped. It's only... piss off, son. It's only 20 centimetres, or about that much, narrower than a Hummer. Then there's the PCM system. I suppose that all manufacturers are going the same way with the screens and menus, but I strongly believe that any system with a function menus that are more than 2 levels deep are just a pain in the backside. What's wrong with buttons and knobs? I quite like to twizzle a knob every now and again. Things like trying to turn the aircon off isn't a simple pressing. You have to press one button and then up here turn it off. Not so easy when you're driving. And then simple things like trying to turn the radio on if you're over 15, which is here. Is it media? No. Even trying to turn the radio off is a challenge. There's one. Media? No. No. Oh, bugger off. That said, I think the Porsche system is still better than the Tesla or the Audi system, but I don't think anyone's really cracked this type of system yet. No one seems to have a definitive user-friendly interface. Or am I just being an old fart? Let me know in the comments. Mr. Car manufacturers, can't we have some sort of compromise? You know, just knobs and buttons for the most used stuff and then all the lesser used stuff in the silly menus? No? Just me? Okay. Porsche have had a go at it with this car. There are some analogue buttons for things like radio volume, but this one is just a waste in my opinion. This is the regen button, which changes the way the car drives. You can make the car a more Tesla-feeling one-pedal driving feel with actual braking when you lift off the accelerator, or you can have it coast for a more traditional petrol-powered driving experience. It really doesn't feel like a traditional EV then. As far as I know, it has no effect on how much power you recuperate. It's just personal taste, which is why it'd be better buried in the PCM somewhere. I don't think anyone's going to be changing it back and forwards. They'll just pick a style that they like and leave it. A better use of this button would be to change between driving modes. However, with cars with the optional chrono pack, you get a button to change driving modes. So I presume if they made this button change driving modes, they wouldn't be able to flog as many chrono packs. Perhaps just me being cynical. There are a few cheapy feeling parts of the Taycan, and I don't know if they're weight saving or just money saving. These roof inserts, for example, these plasticky kick plates. But on the whole, the quality of the interior is exceptional. One of the best I've encountered. Everything is solid and feels nice. It's a lot better quality than a Tesla interior, especially the seats. The Tesla seats are comfy, but in a way that your favourite armchair's comfy, if that makes sense. The Taycan seats feel like they're designed to support you properly. Not squidgy soft, just ergonomically designed to support a human body. I really like the virtual dash too. I didn't think I'd like it, but I do. It's well laid out and it's well thought out, and you can have almost any combination of information you like on it. Maps, speed, G-force, marvellous. And while I think about it, there's another thing I don't like. This centre glove box thing. You have to be double jointed to get into it. It doesn't feel like it's designed for human use. They should have got the guy who designed the seats to design it. The Taycan comes standard as a 2+2, but you can order a 5th seat version like this one. But it's a little bit cramped to say the least. I'd save you money. This particular poverty spec model is fitted with a Battery Plus, which most reviewers are going to tell you need to buy. True, it does give you more power, probably about 50 horsepower more, but that's cancelled out by the extra weight, so there's no performance advantage at all. None. It's exactly the same 0 to 60 and exactly the same flat out. It does give you more range, probably about 25 to 30 miles, but with an already half decent range of 280 miles, you've got to weigh up personally whether £4,500 is worth 25 to 30 miles. I'm not sure it is. My advice would be don't bother. Save your money. Shit. Whilst we're talking about range, another advantage of having the poverty spec model over the 4S is that it has one motor rather than two, and two-wheel drive rather than four-wheel drive, which means it's more efficient, which means more range. Although the basic Taycan isn't as fast as its older brothers, it still has 375 horsepowers and 400 on overboost. Hold on. It's actually 476 horsepowers on overboost. Dummy. Carry on. Which means that 0 to 60 comes round in 5.2 seconds. So while everybody's rattling on about how it's not as quick as the other Taycans, it's still quicker 0 to 60 than the Lamborghini Countach LP5000S from the 80s. And it does the quarter mile in 13.5 seconds, which is quicker than Aston Martin V8 Vantage. The entry-level model also comes with steel sprung suspension rather than air suspension that's standard on the other Taycans. Now you can pay for it on this. It's not that bad at £1,500 compared to some of the options, but again, I don't think it's really worth it. And besides, most air suspension often fails if you keep it long term. At least on this one there's no airbags to replace. On top of that, Porsche do coilover suspension as good as any air suspension. For that reason, the handling on the Taycan is astonishing. It corners flat and the turning is beautifully precise. It sticks to the road like poo sticks to a blanket. Another reason why the Taycan handles so brilliantly, apart from the big fat tyres, is the low centre of gravity. Like with all electric vehicles, the battery weight is all low down in the chassis, but you also sit really low down in between the wheels, like a Cayman. Porsche have got the whole weight distribution absolutely bang on. It's a fantastic car to push hard down the windy B roads. You just know it's going to put a smile on your face. And unlike the four-wheel drive models, you can turn the traction control off and have some tail-happy drifting action. If you like spending money on tyres, that is. The base model Taycan costs half the price of the Turbo S, and it's certainly more than half the car. Like I said before, it shouldn't be compared to other Taycans. It should be compared to what else is available for £73,000, which amongst other things is various BMW hybrid 5 Series and 7 Series. Fully electric rivals include the Jaguar I-Pace, but I think I'd rather have a Porsche than a Jaguar. And of course, we have to mention the Teslas. Yes, the Tesla's faster, but the Porsche gives you so much more. It gives you an emotive experience. Porsche understands that a car needs to give you more than just transport. It stirs an emotion in you that most car manufacturers just can't seem to reproduce. And it's proof that it doesn't need to be the fastest to have the best experience. Considering I'm not an electric vehicle person yet, I'm really impressed. By the way, this review isn't sponsored by Porsche or anything like that. I just really like it. One thing to remember with all fully electric cars is that if you're leasing them, you're saving anywhere from 25 to 50% tax in the UK. That means you have that much extra to spend on your monthly allowance over a petrol or diesel car. £550 spent on a BMW petrol car could equate to more than £700 on a fully electric car. Just something for us non-converts to consider. And there are no used bargains. A brand new Taycan, if you can get one, is actually a pretty good investment at the moment, especially if your purchase method is one of the more tax efficient ones. A quick look around shows that used models are going for £10,000 to £15,000 more than their original selling price. This could be because waiting lists at some dealers are up to 12 months. As always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. It's easy, just push the button there. Just there. Just go on, push it. Do it, do it, do it. Go on, do it, go on, go on. You win, you win, you win, you win, you win. And if you'd like to watch a video about a Bentley, click here. And if you'd like to watch a video about a Porsche Boxer that's done nearly 250,000 miles, click here. See you in the next one.